Welcome to our latest news update. Today we'll be discussing some of the most talked about news pieces from the past week. First up,
John Leguizamo's recent comments about white actors playing Latino roles have sparked a heated debate. Next,
Tom Hanks has weighed in on the censorship debate, arguing that individuals should be able to decide what offends them. In other news,
Imagine Dragons recently performed an acoustic concert in support of striking writers outside Netflix. Meanwhile,
Marvel is reportedly preparing for a potential recast of Jonathan Majors' Kang. Finally, we mourn the loss of
Frank Kozik, the artist behind iconic album covers for Queens of the Stone Age and Melvins, who passed away at the age of 61. With that said, let's get started.
Actor John Leguizamo joked about taking a role from a white actor by playing Gwyneth Paltrow in a movie about her ski accident trial, while highlighting Latino underrepresentation in Hollywood. Leguizamo has been outspoken about the lack of Latino representation in the industry, writing an open letter to the industry in the Los Angeles Times in 2022 about the issue.
A USC Annenberg Inclusion Initiative study published in 2021 found that only 3.5% of leads and co-leads in top-grossing films from 2007 to 2019 were Hispanic or Latino, despite the group composing 18.7% of the U.S. population. Leguizamo recounted instances where he was denied roles due to an unspoken Latin quota in a film and was told he sounded too Latino or not Latino enough at auditions. The trial involving Paltrow and retired optometrist Terry Sanderson became social media fodder, with clips from the live-streamed event going viral on TikTok.
Leguizamo guest hosted The Daily Show and spoke about the phenomenon of white actors being cast in Latino roles, saying, "If white people can take our roles, I'm going to take theirs."
From poking fun at Hollywood's casting choices to taking control of our own offense, it seems like we're all just trying to be the Tom Hanks of our own lives.
Tom Hanks has expressed his opinion on censorship in Hollywood, stating that people should be allowed to make up their own minds on what they find offensive. Hanks has appeared in family movies that may have scenes considered inappropriate by today's standards, such as the film Big.
Censorship is becoming a hotly debated subject, with many forms being used to restrict certain content from the public. Recently, literary works by authors such as Roald Dahl and Ian Fleming were updated to remove or reword certain references deemed inappropriate or offensive.
This kind of censorship is not new, with Disney Plus also implementing warnings, cuts, and removal of offensive depictions.
The debate on censorship and how to handle outdated content is ongoing and has yet to find a common ground.
Well, it looks like Tom Hanks won't be attending any Imagine Dragons concerts anytime soon. Speaking of which, the band recently performed for a group of striking writers outside Netflix.
Imagine Dragons showed support for striking writers in Hollywood by performing some of their biggest hits on the picket line outside Netflix headquarters in Los Angeles. Lead singer Dan Reynolds and guitarist Wayne Sermon brought a guitar, microphone, and speaker for an acoustic concert of sorts.
The Writers Guild of America members surrounded the band and even sang along to some parts of the performance.
After the mini-concert, Dan Reynolds expressed his support for the writers' strike, stating that they deserve better compensation for their contributions to the entertainment industry.
Other celebrities, such as Pete Davidson and late-night talk show hosts, have also shown support for the striking writers by providing food and entertainment.
Last week, a live mariachi band also performed outside Netflix HQ in solidarity with the writers. And now, from the dragons outside of Netflix to the dragons inside of Hollywood, it's time for the Hollywood Reporter. MTV News has been shut down as part of larger layoffs at parent company Paramount Global, 36 years after it was created to expand the programming of the cable channel MTV. The news outlet began as a single show in 1987, and eventually became a bona fide news outlet for Gen X and older millennials who found traditional TV programming lacking. Correspondents covered music, pop culture, politics, and other topics with an eye toward the younger generation that was tuned to MTV. MTV News created pop culture moments, including a town hall with President Clinton in 1994, where an audience member famously asked him, "Mr. President, the world's dying to know, is it boxers or briefs?"
The news division won Emmys and Peabody Awards for coverage of topics like sexual health, the Iraq War, and natural disasters. MTV News was significantly reduced in size in 2017, and the most recent iteration focused on entertainment and pop culture news and criticism, but it was ultimately shut down due to a larger upheaval in the entertainment business and cost-cutting measures at Paramount. Well, speaking of Hollywood, it looks like Marvel is already preparing for their next casting controversy. Get ready for the Kang line of auditions. Marvel Studios may recast Jonathan Majors for future appearances as Kang the Conqueror depending on his legal situation. Majors will still appear in the second season of Loki, in which he will play several variants of Kang.
Marvel and Disney are closely monitoring Majors' legal case before making any official decision.
Sources familiar with the situation claim that Marvel has already started preparations to recast Kang if necessary. Majors and his legal team maintain his innocence, but he has already been dropped by his management and PR agency.
The cast of Loki Season 2 includes Tom Hiddleston, Kate Dickie, Owen Wilson, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Sofia DiMartino, Eugene Cordero, Tara Strong, and Rafael Casal. From the multiverse to the music world, it seems like we're in for some major changes. Speaking of which, let's take a moment to remember the man who made sure our favorite albums looked just as good as they sounded.
Frank Kozik, the artist known for designing posters and album covers for numerous bands, passed away at the age of 61 on Saturday. Kozik's work includes album covers for bands such as Queens of the Stone Age, Melvins, and The Offspring, as well as tour posters for Nirvana, Sonic Youth, and the Beastie Boys.
He was a creative force of nature who dramatically changed the industry he was a part of, according to a statement from his wife Sharon.
Kozik started doing posters in the early 1980s while living in Austin, and gradually gained work for corporate ad campaigns and gallery shows. He also started his own label, Man's Ruin Records, which released music by Caius, High on Fire, and Melvins.
Kozik attributed the aesthetic of his most famous work to his dark sense of humor and growing up in the punk rock scene, which influenced his love of power imagery and basic impulses such as sex, drugs, and violence.